Hi folks, I'm Chris License and this is our License to Travel. Today we'd like to talk about RV tips that will make your RV trips so much more enjoyable. It should make those trips a whole lot more fun and a lot less exhausting. And we'd love to hear from you if you'd leave a comment below. If you have a version of this tip/rule that you can leave that might help others, that would be awesome. Our tip, you've probably heard a version of it before, is the rule of threes, sometimes called 333 rule, the 300 rule, or there is a 3 somewhere in the concept. This would have been a much shorter video if we only had 3 points to express, but we may have a few more.
A Cheshire cat.
Our 333 rule is you arrive at your destination by 3 p.m. Drive not more than 300 miles and stay for 3 nights. Alright, let's break down these 3 rules. Arriving by 3 p.m. This allows for a buffer in your travel day. You know, if a problem comes up that you need to address, maybe something as simple as a weather delay, a flat tire, maybe road construction, and say unpredicted detours, accidents. You get it. This buffer is so you can still arrive while it's light out. When you can show up at your destination during daylight, it will be easier to set up. Also, if it's an RV park, that's an ideal time to check in. And if you're going boondocking, it's going to be easier to find your spot in the light and give you a little bit more time if you have to change locations, in case your Plan A spot is filled up, taken. Also, being able to set up in the light is much nicer than trying to do it in the dark. Even just pulling into your site, it's so much easier in the daylight than at night, where you might not be able to easily see an obstacle. It's just so much easier to do it in daylight. Now, if we're going to have to break one of these other rules that we're talking about today, usually this is the one that we try not to. So make adjustments if you have to leave earlier in the day so you can arrive at that 3 p.m. time, so you can do what you need to do. If you have to drive longer, wake up earlier and still get there before 3 p.m. It's absolutely your preference. Now the next one. In our rule of threes, it is not to drive more than 300 miles in a day. And the reason why is if your average towing speed is, say, 65 miles per hour with your RV, you're looking at 4.5 to 5 hours of drive time to be at that 3 p.m. or just under that 300-mile mark. This is probably the easiest of the threes to break because you're going long distances often with your RV. But if you can keep it under that 300-mile mark, you're gonna be a little bit more relaxed and refreshed when you get to your destination. When you're looking at a 4.5 to 5 hour drive, it's still a pretty good drive, but you're not looking at 8 to 9 hours, where when you get there, you're gonna be exhausted and it will be harder to enjoy the area and or stack another travel day on top of the one you just made. Staying closer to that time frame and lesser miles, you'll be able to enjoy your trip and new area quicker because you'll be less fatigued. As a bonus thought to this rule, we have a fifth wheel, and if we can fill our tow vehicle, let's fuel it up, before we hook up, that 3 hours is generally within the fuel mileage range of our vehicle while towing. It's just easier to fill the truck without the RV connected. Unless, of course, it's at a truck stop. That's with our EFS card. The third part of this 333 rule is to stay 3 nights. Obviously not if we're harvest hosting, etc. To get to more distant locations and save some coin. The advantage is that we get to enjoy that area a little more, and it doesn't feel like we're moving all the time. You know, set up one night, move the next. Those one-night stops can get to be a little exhausting and repetitive. Yeah, less time with setup and teardown, more time to, so to say, stop and smell the roses.
Does the phrase "stop and smell the roses" mean anything to you?
There is a variation where you can add another 3, and that is not to drive more than 3 hours. You know, it replaces that 300 miles rule, based more on time behind the wheel rather than distance traveled. The reason why that would be good is that when you drive 3 hours, you're driving into an area that is generally completely different. And if you drive farther than those 3 hours, you may miss something that is in that area. So sometimes keeping it to the 3 hours max of how far you're going to drive will help you really enjoy that state or region that you're driving in. Like we said in the beginning, those are more like guidelines, not hard, fast rules to follow to the letter.
Thirdly, the code is more what you call guidelines than actual rules.
It's just that sometimes following the guidelines can help you enjoy it just that much more. Sometimes maybe not so practical, but other times great, to make your trips that much better and better for planning for your trips as well. We hope that these tips will help you to enjoy your RVing experience more, and check out the comments below in the Show More section under the video to see if there are any other tips added to this video in case there's something that might work well for you and your travel style. Now, since this is all based off the rule of 3's, maybe you could do 3 things. 1. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. 2. Subscribe if you want to see more videos about RVing and comment down below. 3. Since we're not really sticking to that rule of 3's because I've messed that up all throughout this video, hit that notification bell. That should do it for today, and if we don't see you on the road, we'll see you next video. As always, please travel safe.